Right now, the presidential race still too close to call, and the president is already taking some of the states in question to court.
Plus, the Trump campaign says they want a recount in Wisconsin. We'll explain the process and whether the results are likely to change.
And near record warmth is in the forecast for the next several days. All of the details coming up.
This is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks. Thanks for waking up with us on this Thursday. It's November 5th already. I'm Leah Lynchide.
And I'm Chris Stanford. So we are still waiting for final results for the 2020 presidential election. Some things have changed overnight, though. Let's take a look at where we stand right now. The Associated Press puts Joe Biden in the lead right now with 264 electoral votes. They called Arizona for Joe Biden early yesterday, so that's why they're at 264. Fox News also projects that Biden will be the winner in Arizona, but the votes are still being counted there. That state would put Biden on the verge of securing enough electoral votes to become the next president.
I'm Josh Breiter. Here's a look at the map right now. According to the AP, they still have 5 states as undecided: Nevada, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alaska. Early yesterday morning, the Associated Press called Arizona for Joe Biden. CBS News says it will likely go to Biden, but has yet to make the call on their maps as votes are still being counted. Take a look at this. We got the latest numbers in from Arizona just before 2 o'clock this morning. Joe Biden is still up there and has been for most of the last 24 hours, but his lead is closing. President Trump picking up more votes as the ballots are being counted. Biden is currently leading by just under 70,000 votes. Election officials in Arizona say they will not be giving an update until later today. Georgia is really the one to watch this morning, as it could be called at any minute. Democrats still holding out hope for the traditionally red state to flip. An estimated 95% of ballots have been counted there, and President Trump is leading by 23,000 votes. What votes do still need to be counted are in the Democratic-leaning counties surrounding Atlanta. We're not expecting to get any updates out of Nevada until later this morning. Election officials there say they plan to be done counting sometime early today. The state could provide a win to the Biden campaign if Arizona does in fact go to Biden. Those 2 states' electoral votes putting him exactly at 270. Pennsylvania, meanwhile, the easiest path of victory for Joe Biden. Its 20 electoral votes would immediately push Biden into the presidency. If those go to President Trump, it would make an even closer race. The president is leading in Pennsylvania, but that lead is shrinking. An estimated 1 million ballots still need to be counted.
President Trump's campaign is looking to take legal action in several states as counting continues.
The president has implied for months now that he planned to take election results to court. So far, he's filed challenges in 3 states. The Trump campaign filing for possible action in Pennsylvania, joining in already pending action from Republicans. Their challenge is demanding more access for campaign observers where ballots are being processed and counted. The campaign also looking to intervene in a Supreme Court case that deals with when ballots can be received in Pennsylvania.
President Trump's campaign also filed legal action in Michigan before the state was called as a win for Biden. They're asking for access to a number of locations in that state to review ballots that have already been processed. In Georgia, the Trump campaign claims it's suing to uphold state law, which requires ballots to be received by 7 p.m. Election day. The lawsuit alleges a Republican poll observer in Georgia witnessed 53 late absentee ballots illegally added to a stack of on-time ballots. Georgia officials say all boxes were locked and secured as required by law. The campaign says it's also keeping the door open for a possible recount in Georgia. A candidate can ask for one in Georgia if the margin of victory is less than half of 1%.
President Trump's campaign says it will also ask for a recount here in Wisconsin, which was called for Biden yesterday.
This wouldn't be the first time Wisconsin goes through a full recount. Taylor Lazenby is with us now to talk about how that works. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, guys. Good morning. That's right. The last time we saw a recount was in the 2016 election, which resulted in a few changes to the final tally of votes in Wisconsin. After the 2016 recount, Republicans tightened up the requirement that a losing candidate can demand a recount only if the margin is 1 point or less. Now, I spoke with Dane County Clerk Scott McDonald on how the recount will go in this election and if he feels the results will differ.
The count in Wisconsin is extremely accurate. And I expect, if there is a recount, that the numbers would not change much.
So what's next? Well, now the counties will start their canvasses. They are required to start by November 10th and must be done by November 17th. Then they will send the results to the State Elections Commission and certify results on December 1st. Now, 3 of the past 5 presidential elections in Wisconsin were decided by less than a percentage point. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll discuss how ballots will be recounted in the per President Trump's request. Reporting live in downtown Madison, Taylor Lazenby, News 3 Now.
Thank you very much, Taylor.
Developing right now at 5:07, we're tracking protests overnight in several states as ballots continue to be counted. Take a look at this. A large crowd gathered outside a counting center in Maricopa County, Arizona. Our affiliate on the ground there says a group tried to break into the building. They claim to be journalists, but several people were carrying guns. Sheriff's deputies are now guarding the building in full tactical gear this morning. The group is mostly Trump supporters chanting 4 more years and stop the steal to this point. There have been no documented reports of irregularities in Arizona.
Police in Portland, Oregon, meantime, are officially declaring protests there a riot. It started early yesterday evening as a response to the president's claims that he would try to stop the vote count in battleground states. Portland police showing what they've confiscated from rioters so far, including a rifle with a full magazine, fireworks, and a knife. In Detroit, people rallying there yesterday afternoon demanding officials stop counting ballots as well. Protesters were pushing up against windows and blocking doors at a convention center where the ballots were being processed. Their chants come as the AP and CBS News called the state for Biden once absentee ballots in the Detroit area were counted.
As ballots were being tallied, groups in Madison also rallied to make sure every vote counts. The Defend the Vote rally took place at the Capitol last night. Organizers say it's important not to call a presidential winner until every vote is counted. While the event did push back against the Trump administration, it was set to happen regardless of election outcome.
And so for us, there was no reason ever to sit back and believe that we were going to be done, that we were going to be treated fairly by the people who are in charge. You know, that's just fundamentally untrue in Wisconsin. It's untrue in the United States. And so we wanted to be prepared for whatever outcome.
This was just one of a few rallies calling for all ballots to be counted here in Madison yesterday. One of them also held up traffic with a car caravan in the Hilldale shopping area.
5:09 right now, coming off the presidency, not the only office on the line. After the break, we're tracking the latest from the race to control Congress.
Plus, UW-Madison now able to get more COVID tests done, how a federal partnership is helping that happen. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're back at 5:13. Right now, we're tracking the latest in the race to control the U.S. Senate this morning. Democrats and Republicans are currently tied, each with 48 seats. It will take 51 seats to secure a majority. That leaves up for seats still leaves seats up for grabs. Those will come from Alaska, North Carolina, and 2 from Georgia. Alaska is expected to go to the Republican candidate. The other 3 are still too close to call. As for the House of Representatives, the Democrats are expected to continue to hold control. They currently hold 210 seats, Republicans 190. It takes 218 to maintain control. Before the election, Democrats held 233 seats in the House. They're expected to lose a few seats, but not enough for the Republicans to gain control.
A couple races across the country are making history this election cycle. In New York, 2 congressional candidates were elected as the first openly gay black men in Congress. Richie Torres will represent the South Bronx area in the House of Representatives. He'll be joined by Mondaire Jones, representing New York's 17th congressional district. Torres told reporters he's proud to contribute to the diversity of the legislature. And New Mexico, now the first state to elect all women of color to its House delegation. 3 women announced they won their districts Wednesday morning, including incumbent Deb Haaland, who made history in 2018 as one of the first Native American women elected to Congress. Republican Yvette Herrell, a member of the Cherokee Nation, also won her race. She had the support of several big-name Republicans, including President Trump.
And Oregon making history as the first state to decriminalize small amounts of certain hard drugs. That includes heroin, cocaine, and LSD. It was a plan backed by criminal justice reform groups to keep people out of jails and prisons. Offenders arrested with small amounts of the drug will now instead pay a $100 fine and be required to go to a recovery program. 4 more states also legalized recreational marijuana: Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, and South Dakota. The United States no longer part of the Paris Climate Agreement. Our country formally left the agreement yesterday, the first and only of nearly 200 nations who signed on to do so. The agreement is an international plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. President Trump announced his plan to leave the agreement in 2017 and filed to leave it last year. Joe Biden says if he wins the presidency, the country will sign back on.
Happening now at 5:15, Ada is a tropical depression this morning, but is headed toward the U.S. coast. The storm claiming at least one life so far and still has days of devastation in store for Central America. It's destroyed 5 bridges, 14 roads, and 339 homes in Honduras. The slow-moving storm made landfall along the coast of Nicaragua as a Cat 4 hurricane with maximum sustained winds near 140 miles an hour. Later this week, the storm is expected to reemerge over the Caribbean and possibly move over Cuba by Sunday. And then by Monday morning, it could threaten the southeastern part of our country. Hattie's here. She's been tracking it all week long. Hattie, what's the latest?
5:17 now, the U.S. once again setting a new daily record for coronavirus cases, confirming more than 100,000 new cases on Wednesday. That's the first time we've recorded a 6-digit figure in one day. In Wisconsin, health officials confirmed 5,800 new cases yesterday. DHS officials say 97% of counties have very high activity levels for disease spread. The 7-day average positivity rate has now increased to 31%.
The UW system says it now has 250,000 rapid result COVID tests, thanks to a new partnership with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
That we were chosen to be the first ones by the federal government to do a surge capacity to see if we could sort of flatten the curve on this insidious COVID-19. And so we're been working very hard around the clock. We're going to start testing already tomorrow, and at some sites, most of the sites will be opened up next week.
The partnership is to establish surge testing sites on UW system campuses. The 250,000 tests will allow residents to get tested at no cost, regardless of if they're experiencing symptoms or not.
The chief of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is optimistic it could be ready before Christmas. He says the data has to be reviewed by regulators before the vaccine can be distributed. He said he didn't know the timeline of that. The University of Oxford expects late-stage results by the end of the year. They could start distributing it by early 2021. The director of the National Institutes of Health says 130,000 lives could be saved by March just by wearing masks. Dr. Francis Collins calls it a simple, selfless act. He says right now only about half of Americans wear a mask in public, but if most people decided to wear them, tens of thousands could be saved. His estimate comes from an influential coronavirus model, which predicts COVID-19 deaths could surpass 1 million in the U.S. by the end of February.
As of now, tonight's NFL game between the Packers and the 49ers is still on. The Niners closed their practice facility, though, yesterday after a positive COVID test. On the Packers side, running back A.J. Dillon also tested positive earlier this week. Running back Jamal Williams and linebacker Kamal Martin were designated as high-risk close contacts and will be staying away from the team until Saturday. Once the Packers are back in Wisconsin, don't plan on seeing them in person. The team just extended its hold on allowing fans to watch games at Lambeau. Packers president and CEO Mark Murphy says they'd love to see fans there watching the Packers play, but with the increase of cases in the state, they just don't feel they can safely let fans in right now. The Packers' next home game is set for Sunday, November 15th against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
5:20 is your time right now, and still ahead for us on this Thursday morning. We'll tell you about today's holiday that I wish we could celebrate every day.
And coming up in our next half hour, we're continuing to follow the latest results from the presidential election, giving you up to the hour updates. Which state we could see results from yet this morning? That's still ahead.
.523, found a beautiful My Morning picture to share with you. Take a look at this. You got the Capitol, the birds, the glowing orange sunset or sunrise. Not sure which one it is, but it's gorgeous nonetheless. Thanks, Angela, for sending that one in. Show us what your morning looks like, folks. Snap a picture, post it on our social media pages. Make sure to use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. We'll show our favorites on the air.
She's a beaut, Clark.
Oh, that one's fantastic. I love that. All right, guys, well, it feels like we've been celebrating this one all week, but today is the day to celebrate one of our favorites. It is National Donut Day. America eats 10 billion of them, yes, billion of them a year.
Oh,
that's about 31 donuts per person.
Sure.
If it seems like we just celebrated Donut Day a few months ago, you're not wrong. There are actually 2 National Donut Days. The other one is the first Friday in June.
Can't celebrate it enough, in my opinion.
So I've definitely had one this week, I can tell you that.
The newsroom keeps just plying us with carbs and
I
candy and
know.
sugar during election week.
Yesterday
Gotta
was
keep us
not a
moving.
good day. I think I had about 3 bagels.
Oh, brother.
That's one of the nice things about being here in the bunker, as we call it, is I am separated from all of the nasty junk food out there. I would definitely be partaking if I was closer to it. So if there's a plus to being in here, that's it.
Chris is not gaining that election day 15 is what we're trying to say
my.
here.
I save my stress eating for when I go home, though.
I'm trying to just stay away from that back room right now. We'll see how long I can make it
Full of
today.
snacks.
All right, let's switch gears to the forecast. I guess I can go outside and work off all of that grub today, Hads, with the forecast like you got going this morning.
You certainly can. It's a gorgeous day coming up. Take a live look from the Edgewater Sky Camera. Not able to see a whole lot just yet. Our sunrise officially at 6:38 this morning, so about an hour and 15 minutes from now. We have temperatures, though, in the 50s. Winds are going to stay pretty light today. They'll shift to the west this afternoon, but stay in less than 10 miles an hour in most locations. Here's your out-the-door forecast. Grab those sunglasses. Even though we have some clouds this morning, skies are expected to clear pretty quickly today. We'll be near 70 this afternoon.
Thanks, Addie. Stick around. We'll be right back.